Welcome to the first of the new Durham Freemasons podcasts. We're here today and we have, well, myself, I'm the host, I'm Keith Blundy. I have
Wayne Rimley, Provincial Communications Officer for the Craft.
And
Jamie Riley, the membership officer, Provincial Membership Officer for the Craft.
And I'm Gavin Rowell and I am the Provincial Grand Charity Steward and Director of the 2032 Festival.
Right, okay, the rules now, boys, are we drop these titles and we just talk as Freemasons.
Have we got to talk as Freemasons? Can we not just have a chat?
We're going to have a chat.
We're going to talk about Gavin being the deposed host.
Yes, I used to host the old podcast.
Well, this is the new podcast, so welcome to the new podcast, and I've fed you. You've just had a belly full of pizza.
Yeah.
We had no beer because, sadly, you're driving. I'm not. I might have a whiskey after we finished. But, well, let's see where this goes. You know, this is new. We don't really know what the direction of travel is going to be. But if we have some fun along the way, that would be really quite good, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
We'll give it a go.
Yeah.
We'll do our best.
So over the last few months, we've been quite busy. We've launched a whole bunch of campaigns, and I really hate the term campaign, because every time you launch a campaign, it's something that fails, isn't it? It shouldn't be, but you know, there's only one word that's worse, and that's initiative. Literally, well, I can remember a time when I worked for Justin Welby. I'm going to do some name dropping. Okay, when I worked for him,
not like you, Keith.
It's completely like me, as you know. But he actually banned everyone from using the term initiative. You had to come up with creative ways of saying initiative. So that might be quite a good one for us to try to do.
Oh no, I'm going to try and use that word as much as I can in this podcast.
Yeah. And that's why you're the ex-host of this podcast.
But on this podcast initiative.
on this podcast campaign of today.
But it's just a word that comes easy to us because we initiate candidates. So it's just a natural word for us to use.
Although we'd like to initiate some more.
Yes, we always would.
And that could be a really good segue into what's going on at the moment with regard to the digital marketing campaign number 3 run by United Grand Lodge of England. Where have you been with this, Jamie? I mean, I think you've been pretty busy.
Stuck in front of a computer for 3 weeks, Keith. No, it's been really busy. I think unprecedented levels for Durham for the amount of traffic that we've had in. So not all of them are going to turn into Freemasons. I think we've got to be realistic with that. And if we think that they'll make a decent Freemason, then we'll pass them on to a lodge. So we've had great success at that over this campaign already. 10 potential Freemasons have been passed to lodges, and we found out within the last 48 hours that the first initiation is planned.
Yeah, it was amazing. I read that on Facebook this morning. That announced, and you know, I think it was a little bit of one-upmanship who could do it first, but you know,
absolutely.
Why not? Yeah. Unashamedly plugging things, and I'm really well known for doing that as well, as some of you will know.
It's great to see though that the campaign is showing, you know, some feedback, some interest. People are still interested in what Freemasonry is all about, and that's our big task, isn't it? Is to explain to other people what we get out of Freemasonry, why we enjoy it so much, and how you explain to other people, you know, the traditions and how important the traditions have been, the history and how important that's been, what we do for charity, what, you know, how the camaraderie makes a big difference in people's lives. It's how do we explain that to people who are non-Freemasons? Yeah. How do we engage with the community? And that's the next big initiative. That's number 1.
Okay, you know, you get these 3 strikes and you're out.
I'll be outside the little hut in a minute, won't I?
This is the studio. This is a log cabin in my garden, and we call this the studio. You'll see there's some nice, platinum records on the wall there. Mm. We're not going to show those on camera because I think there might be a little bit of a copyright issue there. But one of them happens to be from one of the greatest bands of all time, Led Zeppelin. You know,
very nice.
Sadly, we can't play anything because I think we really would get struck off before we even started.
You do also have the provincial tablecloth on your wall as well,
hanging from the TV. That's pride of place, and I understand Jamie's going to nick it back from me. I've kept this for a number of months to. So that we could start this podcast, and
it's gone to a good home, Keith. It's gone to a good home. Never mind the travel and gavel; it's the travel and tablecloth.
Yeah. Well, maybe we could do that. You know,
well, it's lasted longer than the gazebo did anyway. So
we're not going there with that initiative tonight.
Okay, to try and wrestle this conversation back. So we've got this digital marketing campaign going on, and you know, I think, Jamie, in discussion, you've said that if we were to get a conversion ratio of 1 in 10, that would be fantastic.
I mean, we'd like more, wouldn't we? We've got to get these people into the right position. Those people who are in lodges who are listening to this podcast and are still sceptical about internet candidates or unsupported candidates, non-sponsored candidates, however you want to say it, not somebody who you've known for, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 years, your next door neighbour who you've lived next door to for 25 years. The traditional methods of recruiting are great, but we've got to move into the how dare we say it, the 20th century, maybe not the 21st. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But we've got to move with the times. Durham are very good at moving with the times, and we've shown that we can rise to the challenge of this. If we get more than 10%, Keith, I will be delighted. We're probably looking at, potentially, if it continues at the rate we're going at the moment, we're probably looking at 130, 140, 150 applications that have come through the door. If we can see 20, 25 Masons out of that, what an excellent start. Yeah. Because they've come to us. We haven't had to go searching for people. I think it's wonderful. And it's been a lot of hard work. I think we've all dealt with it. Everybody here has dealt with an inquiry. Mm-hmm. It's not easy at times. You're picking up the phone to somebody you don't know. Mm-hmm. But we get some real good Freemasons out of it.
Well, it's what you said there before about not knowing, or people being a bit uncertain about how an internet candidate's going to be in a lodge. Well, some of the ones who've joined over the last few years in my area, in the northeast of the province, are some of the most keen Freemasons I've ever met.
Yeah.
They absolutely love it. And they joined for the right reasons. They joined because they wanted to increase their social circle. They wanted to have a night in pleasant company and, do something for charity, give something back. And they're dead keen. You see them all over the place. They get involved.
Why do you think they didn't? This podcast is subtly titled "Don't Wait to Be Asked." So why did they wait to be asked?
Oh, I think it's just a different world now, isn't it? And everybody has. I mean, we're a bit more insulated. I know that we have all of this social media and things now, but how many of us now work remotely? We don't work in my lodge in Jarrow. Traditionally was linked with the shipyards in the area, and there would have been 20 lads from the yards would have joined the lodge, and they would have all known each other. They'd spend all day together and the evenings together as well.
And that's the same for us in Shildon. It was the wagon works. Yeah, that's what tied that together.
But now most of those people who live in that Jarrow and Hebburn area are commuter towns these days for Newcastle, for city centre offices, and half of them are working at home. They're not even seeing their colleagues most of the week except on Teams. So do you have that opportunity to have that interaction and that camaraderie, and that I think that's where Freemasonry could really do something. But how do you find those people? How do you say to them, this is what you're missing? It's quite a difficult job, isn't it?
It is. It's one of those things where they always need to be looking for us to find us, because we've got quite a good social media presence, as everyone said, but unless you're actually following those pages, then you just don't see them. So your friends have got to share things, I share things, we all share things on our own social media feeds, but if you don't do that, then the message isn't out there. And I think, rightly or wrongly, there is still a misconception that we are closed off organisation, and that's what we're really trying to break the barriers down with, showing that we are open. Anyone who is interested can find out more, and just come along and ask us the questions, really.
And that's a really good link to our next point, really, which is that over the last 6 months we've done a lot with regard to pushing the openness of the organisation through the campaign that is Don't Wait to Be Asked and +1 and lots of other things, and we've really tried to highlight the things that we do in the community, that the stuff that really makes a difference for the people where we do our Freemasonry. What do you think has resonated so well with people? Why has that been successful, us talking about that, do you think?
Oh, that's I suppose as the charity steward I should be able to answer that, shouldn't I? Well, I know, I think back, I said it earlier on, I think, to you guys, that when I think back to when I joined Freemasonry 23 years ago, I can remember it was the old style then. You went to an interview committee and they said, so why are you interested in Freemasonry? And I said, I was in my 30s then. I said, I'm in my 30s. One of the things I'd like to do is to see how I can give back a little bit. What can I support? How can I get involved in charity? And I think people want to get involved in charity. I know we're living in difficult economic times, but the amount of engagement you get from people when you're running a charitable event it's incredible. The amount of generosity you see from people, and we see it every day in our lodges, don't we? When you collect alms, so that we can support those in need in our lodges. When you have a charity raffle so you can support a bigger initiative in the area, people are so generous. And this year, or this last bike ride that we did was for the TLC Teddies. That really captured people's imagination. It's one of those things where we as Freemasons are donating these comfort teddy bears into hospitals for young children. My son's had 2, sadly, when he's broken his elbow twice, and they do make a difference. And it's a wonderful initiative to see. So to just be able to give back, I think, is amazing. And I think that's a real thing that we can show other people, members of the public, that what we do to try and help.
I think the charities as well, Gavin, and as you mentioned there about the TLC, they're close to people's hearts, aren't they?
Yeah.
Everybody will know somebody who's been in that situation. We've been in the situation with our kids. But then you look at the other stuff that we do in Freemasonry in general, and I'm going to pick out other degrees as well, Keith. We our companion orders. You look at the press that we got last week for the Great North Air Ambulance.
Yeah.
You're probably
It's the air ambulance.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I thought that was a sound effect.
So did you arrange that?
I did.
That's really good.
They've come to say thanks.
Thanks for the new Volvo. Over the moon.
If it's a Volvo flying, we got a problem.
I think it was a Land Rover.
It was the Land Rover. It was the Land Rover.
The Volvo the last time.
When you see that helicopter flying over our houses here in County Durham, in the province, you know it's going to somebody who's in need. Mm-hmm. You know that now it's going to be supported by a vehicle when the aircraft can't fly, and that's down to the generosity of Freemasons. Mm-hmm. That makes you feel very, very proud to you've played a small part in that.
Yeah.
And it's I just think it's wonderful. The stuff we do around the hospices, the stuff that we do for in line with national charities as well within our area. It's just mind-blowing amounts of money as well, and we're not really seeking that headline grab. We're doing it, quietly and subtly, but now we still make a presence within the local rag, and that gets people talking. And I actually think that's a knock-on effect to this campaign.
Yeah,
I think it's a knock-on effect to the UGLE campaign, because I think we've got a bit of a reputation growing here, and I think people are seeing it, and then now they're getting the adverts from UGLE. I think that's why we're a lot higher than our other provinces around us.
Well, that's a really interesting analogy to make, actually. I wonder whether or not we could find some statistics that help us understand whether or not our raised presence in the public domain is actually helping people press those buttons.
I think it's too much of a coincidence not to be.
Difficult to prove, but yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it?
We'll go with it.
Yeah. I thought it was all your work, Jamie, actually, as provincial membership officer. Sorry, I'm not supposed to mention titles.
We can always ask the candidates.
Well, maybe, and I think maybe we do. I mean, we were talking, weren't we, over our pizza? How do we learn from what UGLE have done with this campaign, so that when that's over and when the summer autumn one is done as well, and we come back to doing something much closer to home, our own advertising campaigns for whatever it happens to be. Maybe it's going to be about the festival, and no doubt we'll talk about that in future podcasts, Gavin.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have a festival special,
I think we should, shouldn't we? But I think the lessons learnt from this massive piece of data, which is what this is going to turn out to be, are going to be incredibly helpful for us all, whether it is in local lodges, province-wide or nationally.
Yeah.
It's really important that we study the data. I mean, you're involved in this for a living.
Well, I'm hoping that they do tell us what's worked as well, because we were all on the presentation and showing the pictures that were going to be used and the adverts that were out there. But as we've said earlier on, I haven't actually seen an advert yet, and I don't know whether it's because I'm not being targeted because they know I'm a member already. Maybe I'm not the
I think
target
that's probably
audience.
exactly it, isn't it?
So
non-Freemasons are being targeted.
But it would be really nice to know what pictures people are clicking on, or what's working. As I say, there's so many pictures out there. Which ones are the ones that are working? Which ones are they getting the clicks? And where are they from? So, which ones are working?
I think
which
certainly
ones could we do differently?
some of our social stuff that we've been sharing, some of the pictures, some of the stuff that shows us working in the community has been probably a little bit more engaging in terms of people that are not already involved in Freemasonry. But the statistics, I'm sure there will be plenty of them when this is all over, and we can look at that.
Engaging for our area as well, because it's more focused on our area. You had photographs on this week, didn't you, of the comfort bears for care homes, and that was a great picture with all of those bright orange bears. And I don't know if anybody's ever been into one of those care homes when those bears are being given out, but it's an emotional process.
It lights up their lives, and their faces absolutely say it all. Yeah, so that's good. Okay, so what else do we want to get from doing this podcast? I mean, these are just a couple of the topics that are current. Mm-hmm. Where do we want to go with this? Who do we want to hear from?
I think we need to hear from the lodges,
from our members
and the chapters. Mm-hmm. Our biggest problem at the moment, and we should never go into the negative here, and I'm not going to, but what I'm going to say is, we can attract good men to join our organisation quite easily, and we showed that last year by our initiation rate was quite high, albeit the totals from UGLE actually had us in the bottom quarter in the country because of the size of our lodges and how many lodges we have in the province. That was disappointing, but we still initiated quite a lot of people, about 153 I think it was in the end, but we lost a lot of people. There's certain things we can't do anything about. We can't do anything about people departing to the Grand Lodge of Bluff, but what we can do is stop people resigning. And I think we need to understand from our lodges why people aren't sticking with us. The first month of the year has been quite encouraging actually from that. We need to understand why people aren't engaging and and what makes them stay, because genuinely I want to introduce the phrase that every brother matters here. And we probably should be looking at what we're doing. Are we looking after each other? Are we making sure that people are enjoying this experience? Because we should all be invested in it, shouldn't we?
Yeah, are we noticing when somebody stopped coming?
Yeah.
People will always resign. There'll always be a percentage of resignations, but let's not let it happen through apathy.
Well,
let's not notice.
And that's a really good introduction to what podcast number 2 is going to be about, because we are going to talk about Every Brother Matters and think about what are some of those warning signs. How do we start to think about making sure that people are welcome in lodges, that they're supported and nurtured, all that good mentoring stuff. But it goes well beyond the mentoring stuff, so we'll certainly be picking up on that. But what else do we want to put out, Cole? For me, I think it's really important that this is not just about the craft and the chapter. This is about Freemasons in Durham, no matter which Masonic unit you belong to, whether it be the Mark or any of the others that are out there, Rose Choir or KT or any of them. We want to hear from everybody.
Don't mention other orders. I was supposed to be at Athelstan tonight and came to the podcast instead.
And of course your priorities are in the right place there. So I mean, we kind of need to bring this particular episode to a close, because we want to keep these fairly short and we want to keep them light-hearted, but I think we've really got into some interesting conversations even in the first one. So thanks, lads, for coming.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you for the pizza, and thank you, good lady, for that, and the dog for playing with his ball with us for the first hour.
Bertie will become...
I'm pleased you said his ball.
Bertie will become famous on these podcasts as time goes by. And how do you like the studio?
It's lovely.
It's great.
Yeah.
Nice and warm.
Nice and warm.
Lovely.
Yes.
Nice and warm.
Shirt sleeves.
Yeah.
Middle
Yeah.
of February.
It's only cost me about 150 quid to heat it this afternoon.
Cheaper than heating one of our halls, though, probably.
Absolutely. And in fact, let's be honest, we were going to do this in a great big hall, and we thought it's a bit crazy, 4 of us sitting in the middle of a great big hall, heating it up for literally recording for an hour, and then, wasting all that energy. It's a whole lot more efficient in here, and you get pizza here as well.
The pizza was good, yeah.
It was very, very nice.
So, lads, thank you for today, and thank you to all of our listeners, and indeed we should give a wave to the camera, to the watchers as well, because this is going to be both video and audio as we go forward. We're going to try and we'll do different things as we get into the next ones, and we'll try and change it up. There's a modern term, change it up.
And if anybody's got any ideas, if anybody's got anything they want to suggest, we'd be more than happy to try and...
Or if they want to come along.
Or if they want to come along, yeah.
One of the things that we can do is that we can do phone-ins with the kit that we have here. So
hang on, we definitely couldn't do that in the old style podcast.
The new podcast has got a phone-in facility.
Wow.
So maybe we'll try that out in a little bit more detail in the next one. But please, we want to hear from you. Drop us a line, and if you send it to communications@durhamfreemasons.org and just put in the subject matter podcast, tell us what you think, tell us what you'd like to see, tell us if we've got this completely wrong as well, but please be gentle. We're all giving up our time for free for this thing. Just a bit of a plug for that. But thank you for listening, and see you next time.
Thank you.
See you now.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye.